Hey everybody, today I'm going to be providing a little video for you guys on kind of a review and also an installation on the Specialty Marine 18 Outrage teak gunnels. So first off, we'll kind of go over what came out of the box when they arrived. Now, as you can see, these teak gunnels are beautiful. I got the unfinished bare version because I really like that oiled look. As you can see, these have already been oiled with 4 coats of teak oil, which we'll go over in the next section, kind of how to finish those with teak oil. But just to show you guys what came out of the box, you have the 4 gunnel pieces, very similar, if not better quality to what came originally on your 18 Outrage. Was super pleased with how they came out of the box. All the wood looks like it is great quality. All the joinery and all the plugs were amazing, nicely sanded, and everything was super smooth as well. Now, in addition to the 4 gunnels, you'll also have the hardware that comes with the gunnels. So you'll get these marine grade stainless screws, these grommet / washers that you'll see very similar, if not the same ones, on your original gunnels. And then they also were nice enough to include some plugs as well, which you will use to kind of cover up your mounting screws once you mount the gunnels to the boat itself. So just to kind of go over how to finish these, now you can either get the beautiful varnished version or you can get the bare version. Now, I prefer bare because the rest of the teak on my boat is bare, so I decided to go with bare gunnels as well. So out of the box, they were super sanded already, but what I did was essentially I hit it with roughly 220 grit sandpaper, just a little bit kind of a sanding to kind of open up the pores of the wood again. And then what I did was I actually blew off all the excess sawdust with a electric kind of an electric leaf blower. You can also wipe it down with a damp rag as well to get all that sawdust off. Now, after that stage, what you're going to want to do is find a teak oil kind of that you like. I'm a really big fan of this Total Boat teak oil. I think it has a really nice color, as you can see. Not too dark, not too light, and I think it's just a great product overall. Not too expensive either. It's roughly in that $20 to $30 kind of price point. So essentially what you're going to want to do is get your teak oil, get yourself a little bit of a cup and kind of a cheap brush that you can throw away after you're done finishing the gunnels. You may also want to wear protective equipment, so your standard gloves or whatnot. Some people can be pretty reactive to any sort of paint or oil or whatnot like that. So obviously take precaution, but what you're going to want to do is sand them down, clean off all the excess sawdust, and then what you're going to want to do is apply a very thin coat of teak oil. Now, you're just going to want to see all the surface covered, and then you're going to wait roughly 20 to 30 minutes, and you're going to go over it with a clean, dry rag and wipe all the excess off. Now, after that, you're roughly going to want to wait. The teak oil directions say 8 to 12 hours between coats. Now, I did roughly probably about 6 to 8 hours between coats, but I also did thinner coats, and I did 4 coats versus 2 coats, which it recommends here on the package. Now, as you can see, they came out really nicely. How you're gonna tell that you're done with the amount of coats that you should put on is once you put on the last coat and you wait for like 20 to 30 minutes, you're going to really realize that the wood is no longer soaking up any more oil. And that's when you're going to really wipe down your gunnels super clean. And then you should be good, for either a half a season or your full season, whatever you choose to do as far as re-oiling. In the next step here, we'll kind of go over how to remove your old gunnels. And then we'll also go into how to install these, how to install the rope bolsters, and also how to install the fishing rod holders as well. Great product, super happy overall. I'll keep you guys updated with all the other instructions and tips and tricks to come. Alright guys, so as you can see, it's important to drill pilot holes when you're putting your, really any of the hardware on or into your gunnel. So as you can see, I'm going to be mounting this rod holder. We got them re-chromed just to kind of go with the new gunnel look. I think they look pretty phenomenal. So line everything up. Alrighty, the next thing we're going to go over here is how to start taking off your old gunnels. As you can see kind of up here, I did already take out the old fishing rod holders. Those are original, so I'm starting to take off all the hardware, polishing it, and getting ready for it to go into the new gunnels themselves. But in this step, I'm kind of going to show you guys how to begin taking off the old gunnels. Now, luckily, a lot of the stuff that Whaler does, they make it really easy to work on your own boat, especially the older models. So as you can see right here, there's going to be a plug in your gunnel. And now these are all up and down the gunnels, and that is going to have your kind of fastening screws in the T-gunnel to attach it to the actual boat itself. So the way that I've been removing these, which I've found kind of the most accurate and kind of quick, is just taking a little screw and a screwdriver and just driving it kind of down there, in there with your hand. That may take a couple tries. You want to use a pretty sharp little screw, and you're going to drive that down in there. And then essentially what you should be able to do is wiggle out the old plug. Now, there's going to be quite a few of these, and it may be kind of tedious, but it's very important to make sure you have all your screws out before you go trying to yank the gunnel off. So that's just one example of one of the things you're going to have to do. Obviously, you're going to want to take off anything that's fastening into the boat before you try to remove the old gunnel. So that's it. I will pull the rest of these out, and I'll show you guys what it looks like taking off the gunnel here in a second. Thanks. Alright guys, so what you're going to want to do before installing your gunnels is, you can see there's some small holes here from the old hardware. You're going to want to fill it with 5200 marine adhesive. So just going to stick it right in there and pump as much of that down in there as possible. Leave a little bit of layer, and then you can just go back and kind of wipe it off with a paper towel after. I'm going to go around and do this to all the holes and let it set up before I mount the gunnels. So in the next step here, we are going to take the 2 smaller screws provided in the bag. There should be actually 4 of them. Now there will be 2 for this side and 2 for the other side, obviously, and then these plugs as well. Now what you're going to want to do for the first step here is join these 2 pieces together using the screws. I recommend using a screwdriver for this, so you don't over torque the screws. Now once you have the screws fully in, you're going to want to use Gorilla Glue, wood glue of your choice, and put it in there after you drive the screw in. You're going to let that set up overnight, and then you can sand off. I'll show you how to finish off the plugs in the next few steps. Alright, in the next step, we're going to be putting on the rope protector. So what you're going to need is your rope protector itself, a drill with a 3/32 inch bit, and then all your hardware and a screwdriver. So as I mentioned earlier, it's really important to drill pilot holes in all of the holes or hardware that you're going to be putting into this hardwood. It's pretty important to do that really in any woodworking project so you don't split the wood. So essentially what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to drill one in the front, drive it in by hand after I drill the pilot hole, and then I'm going to do one in the back as well. And I'm just gonna do this, and then I'm gonna work my way from the middle outwards, making sure everything is lined up, drilling the pilot holes and sinking the screws in one at a time. I will just show you guys one here to begin with. So as you can see, you really only need a little bit there. My rope guard actually fell off, so we're gonna put it back on. Lay it out. And I'm just gonna drive in the very first screw here. And I'm going to move to the front and do the rest. Alright guys, in this step we will be starting to fasten the actual gunnel onto, or the gunnel cap onto the gunnel itself. So I'm going to start with the back screw. We're going to put a screw in about here, drilling with a, it is a 1/8 size drill bit for the pilot hole, and then we're going to put one of the screws that was provided and one of the grommets that was provided in the back as well as in the front, and then we will move on to the section where we will be putting the 9 screws in the gunnel cap on the top and securing them down and then plugging them as well. So just right here, what we're going to do is pick the spot, a little bit lower. You don't want to be too close to the edge because you could split the wood. Alright, so now we have the back screw in. I'm going to go do the front screw. And then on my old gunnels, I also had a screw right there, so I'm going to put one in as well there. Okay, so in this step, we will be putting in the holes on the gunnel cap to secure the gunnel cap down to the actual gunnel itself. So you're gonna need a couple different things for this. We have the 1/8 inch drill bit, and then we have the countersink bit as well. This is gonna make it so you can put those plugs in, sand the plugs down, finish over, and then only have a little bit of a plug showing. So just for measurement wise, obviously you're going to want to do your measurements off of what your old gunnels were like, but for me, I'm doing 4 inches, 4 1/8 inches from the little edge here to come to the middle of the gunnel. That's a good measurement on my boat. I would double check on yours. And then I am going to do 5 screws in this back panel and 4 in the front, because that's what my original gunnels had as well. So here we go. Now I'm switching to my other bit. Now you're gonna want to make sure you go deep enough with this, but not too deep to the point where your screw might pull through the wood. So I would say probably aim to be about halfway through this top sheet, which would give you enough room for the head of the screw and enough room for the plug as well. Now another thing I'm doing here, just before I put the screw in, that is a little bit extra, but I'm taking a little bit of 5200 on a little screw here and sticking it way down into the hole, all the way into the fiberglass. Probably not really needed, but it's just a good way to help your screw set nicely, stay in there good, and then also kind of waterproof it as well. So the last step here we're gonna do before sanding is we are just going to put a little bit of this wood glue from earlier that I showed you guys into the hole here, and then put our plug on top of it. Now this will be kind of the last step before sanding, so we're almost there. It's okay to put a decent amount. You're gonna sand off probably the excess before finishing. I always try and put the flat side of the plug down so it seats really nicely. I rotate it once or twice to make sure the glue is all over. And then I leave it like that. Now, one thing to notice is sometimes if your plug might be a little bit small, the wood glue itself should help the wood expand and fill that plug hole. So don't be super nervous if it's a tiny bit off. Obviously, if it's the hole is a lot bigger than the plug, it's not going to work, but a little bit of room should be fine. Alright guys, while we wait for the plugs to dry, now that we have them all set, what we're going to do is we're actually going to lay our T-caulk down right now and let it dry overnight along with the plugs. So as you can see, we have our T-caulk that I recommended along with the teak gun. You're going to want a rag as well, and then just kind of a rubber glove as well. So essentially what we're going to do is squirt a little bit of it down there to lay the bead, and then wipe it away with our finger. I'll show you guys right now. Alright, and this stuff is also extremely messy, so make sure you have a rag around. But now what I'm going to do is kind of come across here, push it in there with my finger. So you can see it got a little bit deeper. I'm going to go back and lay a little bit more down. All right, and essentially what I'm going to do here is let it sit after I have the bead that I like. Wipe all the edges off, and then anything that's remaining we can sand off when we go to sand the plugs down as well. Alright, the last step here is going to be sanding off the plugs that you can see here. We have 9 of them to do. I'm going to show you guys how to do one. So what I'm going to be using is an orbital sander. I currently have 220 grit sandpaper on here. and then I'm going to move down to 400 grit when we finish it off. After that, I am going to put a small layer of teak oil back over the area that I sanded off. I will show you in the next step. So as you can see, we sanded it pretty flat. Now we're going to be transitioning over to the 400 grit just to make it a little bit smoother and finish off that sand. Now you can see that the teak oil is definitely worn off a little bit after sanding, but now our plug is completely flat. So what I'm going to do now is just take a little bit of teak oil and put 4 more coats on there, since I had originally done 4 coats with the bare teak. As you can see here, we just put 1 coat of teak oil on. It's going to be the same process as before. Essentially what you're going to do is put your coat on there, wait about 20 to 30 minutes, wipe it off, wait a couple hours, and then repeat until that sanded off patch is the same color as the rest of the gunnel.